The Bible gives us some marvelous descriptions of the kind of people who will be enabled to vindicate the name of God and the righteousness of the laws of his kingdom. In Isaiah we read, "Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee." But how did they get that great light which will enlighten the earth with the glory of God? No mortal being has had that kind of experience since the beginning of the world. And how will anyone who has ever sinned attain to what Isaiah has described? It can only be realized when all vestiges of sin have been cleansed away from the heart and mind. However, this kind of perfection has become almost a bad word in many theological circles. We often hear the expression, "Nobody is perfect," intimating that no one will ever become perfect. Yet the scriptures often present the reality of a perfected people. Zephaniah tells us that the remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. And the Apostle Paul wrote about the church that has become a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. Perfection in the spiritual life involves more than just the forgiveness of sin. It involves more than victory over sin, as important as these are. There is another step in the process of redemption that is absolutely essential before anyone can attain to what Isaiah has described. As noted previously, sin is like a two-sided coin. There is the guilt and condemnation aspect and also the knowledge of evil with its propensity to sin. From the beginning of sin in this world, salvation has provided pardon for sins committed and also grace to overcome them. That will free the soul from guilt and condemnation and bring it into a close relationship with God. Yet that will not enable the believers to see God face to face and dwell in his presence. There is also the record and remembrance of sins that will have to be removed. God's people will have to be free from the very knowledge of their experience in sin, because to sin, our God is a consuming fire. What we are discussing is something which Christ does for his people in his closing work in the heavenly sanctuary. It is something he didn't do for Job or Isaiah or Daniel or for all the saints of the past, and it is not something which the saints do through his power. It is something that Christ does for them. But it will only be done for those who have overcome their besetting sins and lived sanctified lives. Hebrews tells us, "He hath perfected forever them that are sanctified." The final work which Christ does to perfect his people is to deal with the knowledge of evil, which is written with a pen of iron and with the point of a diamond upon the table of their heart. The remnant of God's people have all experienced the damaging effects of sinning, because all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. The remnant haven't been more blameless or sanctified than Job or Isaiah or the Apostle John. They are from the weakest generation living upon earth after 6,000 years of sins, depravity, and degradation. But what makes the difference between them and all who have lived before them? Why are they singled out in Scripture as a special group who receive special recognition? It is the effect of an end-time truth which God briefly showed to the prophet Daniel, but who was not given the privilege of understanding its full meaning, because it was for the time of the end. We need to take careful note regarding what is written in the book of Daniel, because it concerns all who are living in this end time. Concerning his vision, Daniel wrote, "And it came to pass, when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision, and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision." If we read through the visions which Daniel had been shown as recorded in chapters 7 and 8, we will see how he was shown a delineation of the history of world empires and powers, which adversely impacted God's people in ancient times, and continued on right to the time of the end. The carnage that worldly powers would inflict upon God's people greatly troubled the prophet. And when he was shown how the sanctuary and the truth it revealed would be cast down by a diabolical religious power, he was even more concerned. Then he heard a question being asked. How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot. He was shocked to hear the answer, "Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed." We should understand that in Bible prophecy, a day is often used to denote a literal year. So it seemed to Daniel it would be 2,300 years before there would be another cleansing of the sanctuary. What made this so devastating to Daniel was the fact that he and his people were still captive in Babylon and nearing the end of their 70 years of captivity. God had promised them that they would be allowed to return to their homeland after 70 years to rebuild the sanctuary and the city of Jerusalem, which had been destroyed by the Babylonians. Daniel and all of his faithful people were looking forward to restart the sanctuary services as their center of worship. But when Daniel heard that it would be 2,300 years before there would be a cleansing of the sanctuary, he was overwhelmed. He was told that the vision of the 2,300 evenings and mornings was true. Said the angel, "And the vision of the evening and the morning which was told is true. Wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days." This was more than Daniel could bear. He wrote, "And I, Daniel, fainted and was sick certain days. Afterward I rose up and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it." Even though the prophet was told to shut the vision up because it would be for many days past his time, he still longed to understand more regarding the things he had been shown. Again we read of his importunity some time later when he was given another vision. "And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And God said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand." He was assured that the vision would be understood in the time of the end. The angel told him, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." In our next episodes, we will pursue the truths which are now beginning to be unsealed and which Daniel longed to understand but was not given the privilege. We have arrived at the time when these things will be understood. Those who are alive upon the earth in this time of the end are born to a special privilege in point of time. They will see the finishing of the mystery of God in the remnant of his people, mysteries which angels desire to look into, and which prophets and kings and righteous men and women of old desired to understand. These things are now being studied and comprehended by earnest seekers for truth.
You can find the special truths for these end times by visiting https://prophecyalert.org. There you will find links to playlists of past informational videos in this series, as well as new videos and publications as we produce them.